Hi, my name is Jeff Fox, and I'm a producer and vice president of operations with Prince Free Productions and Media. Through my time as being a producer, I've seen plenty of things go both right and wrong with projects, and I've seen them succeed, and I've also seen projects fall apart. So today what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go through some tips to help you prevent some of those problems from happening and to make sure your projects are a success. The first one I want to go over with you today is making sure that you follow a proper schedule with your shoot. Now, after you have your script, you need to break that down into scenes, and then you need to schedule out which scenes you're going to do on which day and make sure that you have enough time to actually get all those scenes done. And what I've seen go wrong is people think they can do a lot more than they can in a single day. And so, they schedule that they're going to need 3 days to shoot, and then they think they're gonna do 6 scenes per day. They only end up doing 3, and then they go way over production schedule. And usually schedule means budget, and then they go way over budget. The next most common thing that I've seen go wrong in a production is spending beyond your means. And you've created that schedule, you figured out how many days it's gonna take you to shoot, you put together a production budget, but you don't take into consideration all the things that you might be spending on. So you might not have budgeted for food, you might not have budgeted for the location expenses. There's so many different things that you might miss on a production budget, but each one of those things can add up, and then if you don't have the money in the bank to actually get those things paid for, what ends up happening is you run out of money before the film is done, or whatever project you're working on, and then you don't have anywhere you can go, you have to go out and raise more money again. So that's probably one of the most common things I've seen projects fall apart for, is running out of money. Now, one way to make sure that this doesn't happen to you is to make sure that you're actually keeping track of your daily budgets and what you're actually spending, and also to keep track of what scenes you're actually covering in a day. So one piece of software that a lot of different video production companies use is called Movie Magic, and basically it allows you to do just that. The next thing that I've seen go wrong in a production is not having the right team involved. So making sure that everyone on your crew has experience doing what it is you're doing in that shoot is extremely important. So if you need to do an underwater shoot, make sure you have a videographer that's worked underwater before. If you have to do anything with animation, making sure that your editors or whoever you are, your motion designers, anyone who else on your team has worked in that style of animation, just making sure that they have experience doing what you need them to do. Another piece that goes alongside with making sure you have the right team is making sure that they've worked together before. So if you put together a crew where the videographer, the director, and the lighting team has all worked together, they'll be more used to working with each other, they'll know how each other work, and they'll know how to deal with each other in the high stress situation that is a production set. Another thing to take into consideration when you're doing your project is that you have the rights to use all of the different kinds of things that are going to be in your video. So that could be making sure that your talent isn't wearing logos for companies, making sure that you have rights to the music your editors use, any kind of photos or videos that you're going to cut into it. All that stuff, you need to have the rights to show all of that. And actually in the film industry and television industry, there's an entire department called clearance where they go through scene by scene and try to make sure that you have the rights to every single thing that's in that project, which is why sometimes you'll go back and you'll see things blurred out in videos, people's shirts, because someone will happen to be in the project wearing a logo that, they're not allowed to show. That's just something you want to make sure to take into consideration so that your project can actually be distributed. If you have any questions about whether or not you're allowed to use something in your project, the best thing to do is to actually take it to a lawyer and to have them look it over and make sure that it falls in either like the fair use categories or, that you can reach out to those organizations and get the rights to whatever you're wanting to show and negotiate those kinds of deals, because sometimes your project needs something that you need the rights to, and sometimes you can get those just by reaching out. The last thing to make sure you have covered before you do your video project is to make sure you have a proper marketing and distribution strategy for it. So when you're going out and trying to raise money or funds for your project, a lot of times they're going to want to make sure that either they can get their money back if it's an investment, or if it's a nonprofit and you're trying to have a cause of some sort, that it'll actually achieve your goals. The best way to do that is to make sure that people can see it, and you do that through a proper marketing and distribution strategy. A few different examples of distribution platforms that you can use would be, everything from full theatrical film release all the way down to just a social media post. And all of those have their uses and their purposes. So making sure that your content matches what platform you're trying to release it on is also really important. On the marketing side, it's really important that you know who your target audience is to make sure that your project actually matches to what they're looking for. And you want to make sure that you have a proper marketing strategy in place to make sure that they know your project even exists. I hope that you found this video interesting and that these tips are useful and that your next project is a huge success. And if you need more information, you can check the description below for a link to the blog post with even more tips on this subject.
The Film Hub. Inspire the creative. Ignite the world.